Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is My New York, and this program is dedicated to a kid from the Boston suburbs who made it big time here in New York. Leonard Bernstein was born 100 years ago this August. Celebrations of his genius abound. But did you know that Maestro Bernstein delighted in bathroom humor and vaudeville routines, that he sang in a loud, tuneless voice, had no visual sense, and invented a private language called Ribernian? Those gems and plenty more are in this memoir, Famous Father Girl, an intimate and evocative portrait of the man the world knew as Lenny, and its author, Jamie Bernstein, knew as Dad. Jamie's life with Father, next. Jamie Bernstein, what a delight to meet you, and what a sublime book this is.
Thank you very much.
This is a sublime book. The title, Famous Father Girl, there's the rub, isn't it?
That is the rub. The title comes from what my second grade classmate used to call me, to tease me. Famous Father Girl. And then it devolved over a few weeks into Famous Monkey Face, but I decided to go with the first one.
I like that choice, yes. And of course, the rub is, that's the lifelong, or certainly the first half of your life, struggle, trying to carve out your identity in a world dominated by a man who was a supernova and was also Dad. Yeah,
supernova is a good word because he was like an incredibly bright sun, and it's very hard to locate your own personal light when you're in this solar glare all the time. So that took a long time to figure it out.
You talk about it being exhausting to be around him.
He was larger than life. He had this tremendous energy. You know, the temperature of a room would change when he walked into it. And sometimes he was exhausting, but he was also sometimes energizing. It just depended on the day and the circumstance. You know, it was also incredibly fun to be around him, and his enthusiasm and his ebullience was contagious. And that's why people loved to be around him, and why we had so many friends, and why they would always come over to our house, and why our whole home life was so populous, because everybody loved hanging out at our house and being around that energy.
Why not? And some of the folks who hung at your house, at the Bernstein house, were named people like Bacall and Sondheim and Avedon and Comden and Green and Copeland. I mean, you have any ideas? I mean, of course, when you're 4 and 5, probably you have no sense of who these people are, but...
That's true. When you're 4 and 5, your family is just your family. You have nothing to compare it to. It's just what it is, and you live it and you accept it. And it took us a long time to realize that there was something unusual going on. My brother and sister and I have this joke answer to the question we're often asked about. When did you realize how famous your father was? And we like to say that it's when we were watching the Flintstones and Betty and Wilma were going to the Holly Rock Bowl to see Leonard Bernstein conduct.
I love to watch Leonard Bernstein conduct.
And we thought, oh my God, he must have really hit the big time if he's on the Flintstones.
He's on the Flintstones. What a great discovery for... Well, you're right about how you and your brother and sister were upstairs in the duplex in the young years, and you could kind of staying awake and listening to the hubbub downstairs, the ice clinking in the glasses, the piano, the people, you know.
Yeah, that was the kind of lullaby soundtrack that my brother and I, and later our sister, went to sleep listening to. We could hear the grown-ups carrying on and everybody roaring around the piano, or they were playing word games or charades, and the grown-ups were screaming with laughter. And we thought that's what grown-ups did. We thought all they did was have fun and make each other laugh and sing songs around the piano. I couldn't wait to be a grown-up.
Right.
It sounded like all it was fun.
Yeah, and grown-ups or men, to you, I think, were supposed to be witty and energetic.
Yes. It wasn't just the men, it was the women too. Betty Comden, Adolph Green's
Right.
writing partner, was not just the smartest woman in the room, she was the smartest person in most of the rooms. And I just worshipped her. She was so classy and quick on the trigger and glamorous, and I just wanted to be Betty Comden when I grew up.
No, I think you've certainly attained a fair measure of that. Your wit, and it's clear in your writing.
Oh, thank you. When do I get to write a Broadway show, though? That would be fun.
Well, you've written
Like Betty.
many shows. We're going to talk about, for your dad on his birthday, you wrote shows and songs all the time.
This was a tradition that started when I was about 9 years old, that my brother and I, and later our sister joined us, would cobble together some little entertainment for our dad on his birthday. It wasn't every year, but pretty often we would do this. And as I got older, these presentations got more complicated and more ambitious. So when he turned 50, at that point I was like, 15 or 16. And I had taught myself how to play the guitar, and so at that point I was able to write my own songs for the occasion, and so it became like a big roast of my dad.
And he loved them. He really did.
He loved it. He loved to be teased. Yeah. And he got teased a lot in our family. We felt like it was sort of our job, it was our duty to deflate his balloon a little bit and remind him that he was just a regular human being like the rest of us.
So the song you wrote for him, or one of the songs you wrote for him on the 50th, was called?
Oh yeah, Fastest Beast in the East.
Referring to?
It was referring to a car that he'd bought in Italy the summer before, when we'd spent a summer living in a house in Italy. And that summer he bought himself a Maserati.
Oh, really?
A sports car.
Yeah.
An opera diva of a car. It was the most high-test, high-maintenance car, and it actually was kind of a lemon. It was always breaking down, and things would go wrong with it, but it was ultra-glamorous. So I was making fun of my dad over his having acquired that fancy car.
The fastest beast in the East. We have dug from the archives deep into the Bernstein caves, and we have come up with the performance of Jamie Bernstein singing to Dad at the 50th anniversary. Here's a clip.
The morning sun shines on my face. I'm getting looks from every place. Hey, that's Leonard Bernstein, the movie star. And man, oh man, look at his car. Ho hum, I say, an average day in my Maserati, my Maserati, my Maserati.
That's terrific.
I hope you enjoyed that.
I said anniversary, 50th birthday. Yeah, yes. And he enjoyed. Oh, that was fabulous.
Thanks.
This is in Connecticut? This is...
yes,
yeah.
we still have the country house that our parents bought when I was about 10. We still hang on to it, my brother and sister and I. And so that's where the 50th birthday party took place. My mother had a big tent set up in the back garden, and that's where we all were.
What was his reaction to Fastest Beast in the East?
Oh, he thought it was hilarious. He laughed a lot, and so did all his pals.
Let me ask you about something that struck me. I mean, it was a little chill on back of my neck when I read this. You talked about how you felt a subliminal discomfort being brought to ecstasy by his music, by your father's music. Talk about that.
Well, it's complicated.
I'm sure.
If you have a father, a parent, who is in the business of creating ecstatic states in an audience and in the musicians too. It's kind of personal and almost too intimate. Sometimes when he would conduct these Mahler symphonies, you could be, raised to an altered state. And usually you're not supposed to get that kind of an experience from your parent.
Yeah, no.
It's almost too intimate, too intrusive. And so I found that when I was finally married, that actually helped me experience my father's art with less anxiety.
Well, I can imagine the complications. Should we use the word Oedipal or?
Oedipal or Electra-esque.
Electra, sure, would be the other parent, right?
The
other way
inverse.
around.
Yeah, right.
The inverse.
I mean, I guess there are those elements, and those elements are always there in every father-daughter relationship. But music is an unusual arena for those issues to be worked out.
Mm-hmm. Very complicated. You described in general the household as raucous, confusing, seductive. But he doted on you. I mean, he really did. There were games. There was. He took you at 7 to Carnegie to a young people's concert, and here you are backstage, and your dad is putting on this program of music, but reaching out to children, like you. Did it hit you as well, what he was doing?
Again, I was so young when the young people's concerts began. I think I was 5. So I was so young that I actually didn't even understand what he was talking about yet. But it was great fun to be a participant, to be watching it happening. And as I got older, the young people's concerts became more accessible to me. And in fact, my brother and sister and I were really the ongoing guinea pigs for the subject matter of those young people's concerts.
Well, he was always teaching. I mean, that's one of the things you repeat throughout the book. He's taught.
That was his basic mode of communication. Everything that he did, whether he was recalling a vaudeville routine or rehearsing an orchestra or recalling a Lewis Carroll poem, everything he did was basically this same essential impulse to reach out and grab you by the sleeve and say, listen to this. This is so great, I have to share this with you. So that's pretty much that's why he was such a good teacher, because he had that impulse to share and communicate, and it affected his every communication across the board.
One of his communications, or much of his communication at home anyway, was in this language, Ribernian. Oh. What is Ribernian, which he taught to you?
It's pretty hard to explain. When he was a kid, he and his neighbor up in Newton, Massachusetts, his neighbor Eddie Ryak, he and Eddie made up this language, and the name of it came from both of their names, Ribernian, right? And it wasn't a thorough language. It was more that certain words that you could pronounce in certain ways. And part of it was that they were making fun of the way their parents' generation spoke, because they were all immigrants from the old country, and they had funny accents and funny ways of talking.
Yeah, of course.
And actually, I think Ribernian was almost like a buffer they created to make themselves feel more securely American or distinct from their prior generation.
Yeah, sort of a transition from the Yiddish to the New World.
I think so. And so he taught Ribernian to his brother and sister, and it really became their private language. And because we all grew up together in this family environment, my brother and sister and I also absorbed Ribernian.
Can you say a sentence or
Well, it's hard to say a whole sentence, although how are you going to do it is a sentence you can say in Ribernian. Okay. How you gonna do that? And my father's nickname was Lalat. And
Okay.
so on it goes.
Great, as you say, to be the daughter of Leonard Bernstein. And in your teen years, what a great discovery that you were both Beatlemaniacs. I mean, you were a huge Beatles fan, and then Dad is putting their music in his compositions.
In his young people's concerts, he would
Yeah.
quote them at the piano. Yeah, it was a fantastic piece of luck for me that he had such a high opinion of Beatles music, because the Beatles for me were everything. I was an absolute ground zero Beatlemaniac. I was about 11 when they first came to the US, so you can imagine I was just the perfect age for the Beatles. And then Beatles music evolved so interestingly over the course of those albums that they put out over the next, 5, 6, 7 years. And so as they were evolving, so was I. So it was perfect. I told my daughter that it's parallel to the experience that she had with the Harry Potter books. My daughter grew up with Harry Potter books coming out one after the other in the course of her childhood. And I had the same experience with Beatles albums.
And of course, you got to meet the Beatles because he could provide an introduction. What a remarkable experience.
That was an almost out-of-body experience.
I want to quickly touch on his difficult relationship with his father, who was an immigrant, as you say, and had a hair and beauty supply business, and was miffed that Leonard didn't want to take it over.
Well, exactly. I mean, think about it. Samuel Bernstein came over to the U.S. at the age of 17 without a coin in his pocket, and scrimped and saved and worked his fingers to the bone and created this successful company, the Samuel J. Bernstein Hair Company up in Boston, and got his whole family through the Depression because he had the New England franchise for the Frederick's Permanent Wave Machine, that terrifying Bride of Frankenstein frizzathon that you would get hooked up into. And even in the Depression, women would not give up getting their hairdos. So he got his whole family through the Depression, and he was so proud to be able to complete the immigrant American dream, which was to hand over his successful business to his eldest son,
who didn't want any part of it.
No.
And it's sort of as a payback or whatever. Dad, Samuel, wouldn't pay for his music lessons, his piano lessons.
It's true. For a while there, Sam was so alarmed that his son wanted to be a musician, because in the old country, being a musician, a klezmer, was kind of like being a homeless tramp.
What are you going to tell you?
Who would, play the fiddle at a wedding, and they'd give him a few kopecks and a bowl of cabbage gruel and see you later, and trudge on to the next village. So you call that a living?
Right, yeah.
So the story goes.
Oh, I love this story.
Sam tried to discourage his son from this cockamamie idea of becoming a professional musician, and therefore Sam refrained from paying for his son's piano lessons for a while there. So years later, when my father had his Cinderella-like debut at Carnegie Hall, taking over for Bruno Walter when he was sick and conducting the Philharmonic on national radio, and he became famous overnight, some journalist heard this story and confronted my grandfather. Is it true that you wouldn't pay for your son's piano lessons? And Samuel Bernstein famously replied, well, how was I supposed to know he'd turn out to be Leonard Bernstein? True story.
Wonderful. It's in the book. It's famous father girl, Jamie Bernstein. There's so much in this book, and there's so much yet to cover, and we don't have enough time. Felicia Montealegre, your mother, his wife. Who was she? A thumbnail. How did they meet?
I'm really glad you brought her up. My mother was such a remarkable person, and she was really the one who kept our family together and kept it such a high-functioning, happy, warm, and safe environment.
Well, Nina, I had a wonderful quote I heard about your mother and her mother. She said, Felicia was the brick to his balloon.
Well, somehow that sounds a little depressing, but she
I mean,
was
it sounds like
marvelous.
she grounded him well.
She did ground him. And he really needed that because he was kind of all over the place. He had so much energy and so many different things that he did in life. He really needed that stability.
She was a painter, an actress.
And a pianist.
And she came to New York and essentially, how did they meet?
They met. She came to New York from Chile, where she grew up. She came up in her early 20s. And the story goes that there was a birthday party for her piano mentor, Claudio Arrau, the great Chilean pianist. And he was having a birthday party, and my mother was there, and Lenny showed up at the party. And according to the stories I heard, my mother sat at my father's feet and fed him shrimp one by one. And she told
Clearly
him
a
she intended
romance,
to
but-
marry him that night.
Really?
And she did.
And she did. I've got to jump ahead. It's years later, after she's dead, maybe even after your father had died, that you discover a letter she wrote to him in the year they got married. And it's
That's right.
startling. Summarize that letter for us.
Well, it was a very difficult letter to discover. It had been sealed by my father's manager for decades, and so when we finally unsealed this packet full of letters, we found this one from our mother to our father in which she said, look, I know you're a homosexual, but we do love each other, and I think we should make a go of it anyway.
And also saying, I will not be a martyr on the Leonard Bernstein altar.
Right.
Which-
And that was a hard line to read because in some ways my mother was a kind of martyr to the whole Leonard Bernstein cause. It was very hard to be married to him, and it became progressively harder later on. They had a great run of it for several decades, but it got very tough at the end, and then she got sick. And so the last few years of her life were really tough.
And he returned from his
From the separation.
separation,
Yes.
and clearly he loved her and tried to make her final time as comfortable as possible.
He tried, but the timing of it was terrible.
Yeah.
Because they separated in 1976 for 1 year, then my father came back. And everybody was so happy that they were reunited, but my mother sure was coughing a lot. And 1 year later, she was dead of lung cancer. So that all of this stuff happened, one thing after the other, was very tough.
The complication of discovering your father has a couple of lives going on. It didn't come up for you until, what, you're maybe 16, 17, working at Tanglewood, and you hear stories about his escapades.
That's right. That's how it happened. I was a guide for the summer at Tanglewood. I just graduated high school, and I started hearing these rumors up there. Everybody at Tanglewood seemed to know all about my father's wild youth when he was a student up there. And, all what Aaron Copland referred to as canoodling in the bushes. But I had never heard about any of that before.
Yeah.
And so it was very confusing, and I was taken aback.
Well, they're confusing, clearly. I mean, here you are, his daughter, your brother and sister. You're trying to make a go at Harvard. He's at Harvard. He shows up to be a professor.
Showed up to give the Norton lecture.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's a lot.
Like that Rodney Dangerfield movie, Back to School? Is that
Oh,
the
yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Remember when Rodney Dangerfield shows up and his son is in college? When that movie came up, I loved it, and because it reminded me of my own experience.
Well, you talked about how difficult the final years were with Mom, and when he made a recording, when your father made a recording of his Requiem, he dedicated it.
Of the Mozart record.
The Mozart record, I'm sorry. He dedicated it to her, and the picture that he used on the cover was very telling, wasn't it?
It was a photograph from a production of the oratorio about Joan of Arc that my mother was in many years earlier. And there she is in front of a sort of a backdrop of flames, and she's like this, and it's very martyr-y.
Yes, the martyr that she became. We should talk, I mean, I would love to talk to you about the origin of his Mass.
He got a phone call from Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis asking my father if he would please be the executive director of the Kennedy Center that was being built. And my father said, "Oh, of course, I'm so honored, goodbye," and he hung up the phone and called out for my mother in despair because he didn't want to be an administrator. That was not what he was put on the earth to do.
But he couldn't say no to old friend Jackie.
He could not say no to Jackie. So it fell to my mother to do the damage control, and she called Jackie back and said, "Oh, Lenny is so honored, but don't you think maybe it would be more appropriate if he were to say, you know, write a piece for the inaugural concert?"
So wise.
That's how Mass was born.
So much more to talk about. It's in the book, Famous Father Girl by Jamie, my guest today. And let's finish by having you tell our audience what you and the family, your brother and sister, are doing to carry on the legacy.
Oh, well, this is an amazing year for us because it's the 100th birthday. And it gives my brother and sister and me this unrepeatable opportunity to remind the world of the incredibly multifaceted legacy that he left for all of us to enjoy. And also it gives us the opportunity to introduce him to young people who might not really know who Leonard Bernstein is these days. Maybe they've seen West Side Story, the movie, but beyond that, the strong possibility is that they don't know all the other things he did. They don't know about his conducting, his recordings, the young people's concerts, which you can still see on DVD. They don't know about his compositions, the Broadway shows, and the symphonies and all the other goodies. And there's so many different flavors of compositions. They don't know that he was a teacher, that he did the young people's concerts and the Norton lectures and so much more. And they don't know that he was a lifelong humanitarian working in every way he could think of to make the world a better place.
And you've been doing this for years, narrating concerts around the world and teaching Bernstein, in effect. You're living the life of a musician. You're not a musician, but
right.
You're
I'm not a musician, but I am sort of like my father, a compulsive teacher, and I love talking about music.
Well, it's clear. And I am glad you took a little time to come here and talk about music. And your dad, it's been terrific.
I'm glad I came too.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We will see you next time.